There's a truth about crowded places that almost no one talks about. The people who feel the most drained in them are often not weak, not cold, and not antisocial. In many cases, they're the ones who notice the most, feel the most, and think the most deeply. If you've ever stepped into a busy room and felt something inside you quietly tense, if you've ever watched everyone else laughing and moving with ease while you slowly fold inward and think, why does this feel so wrong for me? You're not broken. Your mind is trying to tell you something important. In this video, we're going to explore 5 psychological reasons you hate crowded places and why each of those reasons points to a hidden strength rather than a flaw. Psychology suggests that discomfort in crowds is rarely just introversion or shyness. It's often a reflection of how your brain processes information, how your nervous system handles stimulation, and how your inner world relates to the outer one. Crowds don't only bring bodies together. They bring noise, energy, unpredictability, and social expectations. Some minds thrive there. Others quietly start to shut down. Before we go deeper, pause for a moment and check in with yourself. What kind of crowd drains you the most? Busy streets, parties, family gatherings, public transport? And what happens inside you first? Is it tension in your body, racing thoughts, or a feeling of wanting to disappear? If you feel comfortable, share your experience in the comments. I read them, and you'd be surprised how many people feel the same, but think they're alone. Reason 1, your senses are taking in more than you realize. Many people who dislike crowds show what researchers call higher sensitivity to sensory input. That doesn't mean you're fragile. It means your brain doesn't filter as aggressively as others do. When you walk through a crowded place, you don't just see a lot of people. You notice footsteps behind you, shifting voices, sudden movements, bright lights, changes in temperature, the hum of constant motion. For someone else, all of that blends into background noise. For you, it stays in the foreground. Your mind is like a camera with the sharpness turned up too high. Nothing fades. Everything demands processing. After a while, it's not just busy, it's exhausting. And yet this same sensitivity is often what allows you to appreciate subtle beauty, quiet details, and gentle moments that others rush past without seeing. Reason 2, your brain reaches its limit faster. Psychologists sometimes talk about cognitive load, the amount of mental effort a situation demands. Crowded places ask your brain to do many things at once. Keep track of where your body is, avoid bumping into others, monitor possible social interactions, scan for any sign of danger, filter sounds, read facial expressions, regulate your emotions. For someone with a less reactive mind, this is just being out. For you, it can feel like running multiple programs on a computer that was already busy. Nothing crashes exactly, but everything slows down. You start feeling tired, irritable, or strangely empty, as if your mental battery went from 80% to 10% in half an hour. This doesn't mean you're weak. It usually means your mind is actually working harder than most people think, constantly calculating, predicting, and adjusting. Crowds don't just take your time, they take your mental energy. Reason 3, your sense of self gets quieter in the noise. Some people are naturally more internally oriented. They make sense of the world from the inside out through reflection, inner dialogue, and quiet observation. If that's you, crowded places can feel like your inner voice is being drowned out by 1,000 outside signals. You might feel present, but not quite yourself. Your attention is pulled away from your own thoughts and values and thrown into a whirlwind of faces, sounds, and expectations. It's harder to hear what you truly think, feel, or want in that moment. This can create a subtle identity conflict. On the surface, you're just in a busy place. Inside, you feel slightly disconnected from who you are, almost like you've been pushed a few steps away from your own center. Over time, your mind starts to associate crowds with a quiet loss of authenticity, and of course, it wants to protect you from that. Reason 4, you absorb emotional energy more deeply than others. Many people who dislike crowded places also tend to be more empathetic. They don't just see emotions, they feel them. A stranger's irritation, a group's excitement, a couple arguing in the background, none of it is truly neutral. Your system takes it in. In a crowd, this becomes emotional overload. You're not just managing your own state, you're unconsciously tracking the moods of dozens of people at once. Even if you're not aware of it on the surface, your nervous system is. It's trying to keep you balanced while being pulled in many directions at the same time. So when you avoid crowds, it's often not about avoiding people. It's about your mind trying to shield you from taking on more emotional weight than you can comfortably carry. That same empathy that makes you an attentive friend or a thoughtful listener can make chaotic environments feel deeply draining. Reason 5. You crave depth and coherence, not noise. Some minds are wired for breadth. The more going on, the better they feel. Others are wired for depth, fewer things, but more meaning. If you're someone who prefers deeper conversations, slower evenings, and relationships that actually feel genuine, then crowds can feel strangely empty, even when they're full of people. Psychology suggests that people with a more depth-focused way of thinking look for patterns, understanding, and emotional honesty. Crowded spaces often offer the opposite. Quick interactions, fragmented moments, surface-level contact. There's movement, but not much meaning. This is why some people feel more alone in a full room than they do in an empty one. It's not the lack of bodies that makes them lonely. It's the lack of real connection. Your dislike of crowded places might simply be your mind's way of saying, I'm not looking for more stimulation. I'm looking for something real. When you put all of this together, a very different picture starts to form. The person who hates crowded places is not too sensitive in the insulting sense. They are sensitive in the literal sense. Their senses, thoughts, and emotions register more, care more, and carry more. In a world that often celebrates loudness, constant interaction, and endless stimulation, that kind of mind can easily feel out of place. But here's the quiet truth. The world also needs exactly this kind of mind, the one that notices what others miss, the one that steps back and reflects instead of always jumping in, the one that protects its own clarity instead of surrendering it to every passing wave of noise. You don't have to force yourself to love crowded places to be normal. You don't have to override your body's signals to prove that you're social, strong, or confident. Strength doesn't always look like walking into the loudest room with a smile. Sometimes it looks like knowing which environments drain you and giving yourself permission to choose it differently. If any part of this felt uncomfortably true, let it be a small invitation, not to change who you are, but to understand it, to see your dislike of crowds not as a failure, but as information, a map showing you where your energy leaks and where it quietly grows. If you'd like more videos that explore the deeper psychology of how you think, feel, and relate to the world, you're welcome to subscribe and stay around. This corner of the internet is for people like you, the ones who feel a lot, think a lot, and are finally ready to see that as a strength.